The Contrast is a novella penned by the Anglo-Irish author Maria Edgeworth. Originally from England, Edgeworth relocated to a rural estate in Ireland at the age of 15, influencing many of her works to portray the nuances of rural Irish life. Recognized as a successful female writer in her time, Edgeworth commenced her writing journey at a young age. The narrative opens with a conversation between two farmers, Mr. Frankland and Mr. Bettesworth, discussing the upbringing of children. While Frankland views children as a blessing, Bettesworth perceives them as a curse. Frankland suggests that the outcome depends on how children are raised and extends an invitation to Bettesworth for his birthday celebration, which is politely declined. Bettesworth, having 5 children living in Monmouth, neglects them along with his vain wife, Mrs. Bettesworth. In contrast, the Franklands are devoted parents to an equal number of children. The story takes a turn when a distant relation of the Bettesworths passes away, leaving them a small fortune. Consequently, Jessie Bettesworth, who initially was to marry Frank Frankland, starts ignoring him. The newfound wealth prompts Will Bettesworth to propose to Fanny Frankland, but she declines, leading to the disconnection between the two families. Tragedy strikes when a fire destroys the Franklands' house, but the industrious family rallies together to rebuild it. James Frankland, a haberdasher in Monmouth, funds the repairs. However, their troubles continue as news arrives that they might lose their property due to the death of their landlord. The Franklands are forced to disperse, with each member finding a different place to live. James, George, and their servant, Hannah, secure accommodations, while Fanny becomes a nanny and Paddy finds residence with different families. Frank, the youngest son, secures a clerk position with a lawyer. As the siblings cross paths during a walk, Fanny faces discomfort as she has been instructed not to walk with others while accompanying the children. Despite obstacles, the family strives to stay connected in the face of adversity. Upon receiving news of her ailing brother George, Paddy faces Mrs. Crump's prohibition against visiting him. Consequently, Paddy forfeits her position with Mrs. Crump, who attempts to entice her back with a generous sum of money. Unswayed by the monetary offer, Paddy declines. Unfortunately, George succumbs to his illness in the presence of his family. Mr. Frankland, debilitated by rheumatism, can no longer work on the farm and earn rent for his cottage. In light of this, he informs his children that he will seek refuge in an almshouse, a decision met with protests from his offspring, though they realize they cannot alter his resolve. Paddy eventually returns to Mrs. Crump, whose admiration for Paddy's earlier rejection of money prompts a warmer reception. Meanwhile, Saucy Sally, having married one of Mrs. Crump's grandnephews, now angles for a share of Mrs. Crump's wealth. The discerning Mrs. Crump, however, decides to include only Paddy in her will. To formalize this arrangement, she sends Paddy to the law firm where her brother Frank works. Although Frank is absent, Mrs. Crump's other grandnephew, a clerk at the firm, has no interest in his aunt's fortune. Mason, another clerk at the firm, accompanies Paddy to Mrs. Crump's as a witness and finds himself drawn to her. Paddy remains resolute in her goal of securing funds to extricate her father from the almshouse. Fanny, upon returning to work for Mrs. Hungerford, plays a pivotal role in a series of events. Mrs. Hungerford entertains a cousin, Philip, who turns out to be Mr. Follingsby, the Franklands' former landlord. Mrs. Hungerford also has a blind friend, Mrs. Cheviot, who employs Jessie Bettesworth as her companion. Mr. Follingsby, smitten with Fanny, presents her with a book containing banknotes, and with additional support from Mr. Hungerford, Fanny accumulates the 200 guineas required to rescue her father from the almshouse. Simultaneously, James faces dismissal from Mr. Cleghorn's law firm after discouraging him from engaging with smugglers. While leaving, James encounters idle Isaac, Wild Will, and bullying Bob, who had clashed with the smugglers. From them, he learns that the Bettesworth boys were responsible for the fire at the Franklands farm and had squandered their inheritance on extravagant living, cockfights, mistresses, and horse races. James relays this information to Mr. Cleghorn, who is appreciative. The Bettesworth family faces the consequences of their actions. The sons are found guilty of burning the Franklands barn, and jilting Jessie and Saucy Sally find themselves in unhappy unions. Mr. Follingsby, expressing profound apologies to Frank for dismissing his father's request to remain on the land, promptly reinstates Mr. Frankland to his farm. In the aftermath, Mr. Follingsby marries Fanny, Paddy marries Mason, James marries Mr. Cleghorn, Frank marries a charming young woman, and Mr. Frankland enjoys a long and contented life on his farm. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.